leaders. Mentors, a moment ago you said that each of you had been influenced professionally. I'd like to ask you a question, if I could. What do you believe to be the attributes for a successful mentor? Somebody just blurt one out. What are the attributes that a successful mentor needs to have? Name one.
Listen.
Okay, you need to be able to listen. That's a great one. Somebody else.
Honest.
I'm sorry?
Honest.
Yes. Honest feedback. No one benefits when we're not forthright in what we're saying. Let's be candid. What else?
Lead by example.
Yes. Because what I do speaks so much louder than what I say. Absolutely. And that's also part of gaining influence. What else? That's three good ones. Let's keep going.
Patience.
Patience. Absolutely. That's huge. Again, remember the uniqueness of the relationship. Some people respond great to a pat on the back, and others need a bit more of a swifter motion, just a smidgen lower down. Okay? But everybody responds to a different thing, and that's some of the art of mentoring. See, that book looked great, by the way. But there's an art to mentoring that you won't get in the book. The science of mentoring you're going to get. The art of mentoring is going to be developed over time as you try different things. Although I will say that I've yet to find the person who didn't appreciate and value a sincere word of encouragement. Have you all found them? I never have. I've met a lot of people and invested in a lot of people, and I've never found anybody who didn't benefit from a sincere word of encouragement. Not flattery, but encouragement. So we've said listening, we've said patience, we've said honesty. What else do you have?
Humility.
Humility. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Well, just being approachable and open and not proud or.
Yeah, I love how you unpacked it. And I love in the mentoring relationship being transparent enough with the protege to allow them to see that none of us have it all figured out. Just because you're a mentor doesn't mean that there's an expectation of perfection. It's not happening. It's just not happening. So the humility to walk through some messes together, that's a great one. Anybody else have one?
You gotta make sure you're available.
Availability.
Invest the time.
Yes. And that's a struggle sometimes. That's a struggle. Particularly if you're not in physical proximity to one another and you're going to have to make an effort to connect. And, it's not going to be easy. And there is a definite intentional effort that is required to have a strong mentoring and protege relationship. There's no way around it. Removing the roadblocks in the protege's way is another one. Helping them see the roadblocks, the pitfalls, the problems. Being available, listening, all the things you said. All the things you said.
I was going to mention having a genuine interest in the person. When I was deployed over in Kuwait, the general I was working for, I'd have to go see him about something, and the first thing he always said was, "Well, tell me how your family's doing." They were all the way back in the U.S. But.
That's great. I'll just backtrack for a minute because that fits so well. Of those three C's, which one is that?
Caring.
Well, it very well could have been character. It's definitely which other one? Concern. Just as strong as it can be, there's concern. And I would imagine the general was competent and also had strong character. And now you have an influential leader, not just a positional leader. Mentors, let me remind you of one thing just as you journey through this relationship. It's not what we want, it's what the protege needs. Their needs drive this relationship. Not my wants, my plan even. Their needs drive this relationship. It's a unique relationship to the two of you. It's a partnership driven by how much can you impact the protege, so when this time is up, they'll look back and say, man, I am so much further along because of the investment of that individual. I am so much better off because of the investment of that person in my professional life. Proteges, let me ask you a question. What are the qualities that make What are the qualities in a protege that make them able to get the maximum from a mentoring relationship? Who are the proteges? Outstanding. Very good. So what are the qualities in a protege that allows them to get the maximum out of a mentoring relationship?
To listen. To be able to listen.
Yes, to listen. Proteges, let me encourage you not to try to convince your mentor they're wrong. Okay? Just as you're writing down these gems of wisdom, there's one. Okay? That wouldn't be a great place to start anyway. Listen. Listen. What else? Absolutely. Open. Not defensive. Take the comments. File them away. Go back and look at them. Revisit them. Where's the truth in that? What else?
Proactive.
Oh, I love that. I just love the whole thing about being intentional in everything we do. Proactive. Absolutely. Come into your meeting with questions, with just a genuine curiosity and an inquisitiveness about, hey, I want to know some things about an area where you are an expert. Hey, let me tell you what's going on. Help guide me through this. That was a great one. What else? Give me one more.
I guess know what you want out of it. Know how to plan.
Very good. What's your goal through this relationship? What do you hope will be the outcome? Very good. Very good. So beginning with the end in mind, if you will. What do I hope will be the outcome of this relationship? It's an investment that both of you are making. The more you, like all other investments, the greater my investment, the more the dividend, the more I'll be able to get from it. You know, I'm experiencing, and as Lauren said, I've had the pleasure to mentor a number of people through the years. And I've just entered into a new venture that is stretching me in my mentoring. And we mentioned a couple of the areas that I find in myself also be stretched in. I recently started my own business of leadership and life coaching, if you will. And before, everyone I've mentored, I've known. I knew them before we began the mentoring relationship. And I saw things in them, or they saw something in me, and they would approach me, or I would approach them, and we would begin a fairly formal mentoring relationship. But what I'm experiencing now that is so unique is that I'm being contacted by people who I don't know. And in fact, one of my clients lives in Fresno, California, and works for the IRS, and it's likely I'll never meet her. We speak by phone twice a month, and I'm coaching her in leadership development, but I may never meet her. And so my listening skills, my questioning has had to ramp it up a little bit because I'm not getting any of that body language that we use in communication. I get none of it. And so even for somebody who's been mentoring a long time, each situation is unique and each can cause us to stretch and grow. Share a couple of, very quickly, my proteges. Two that come to mind, and what made them exceptional, and I believe for them to get the maximum out of our relationship. The first is a young man whose name is Ricky Norris. Ricky is currently the head boys basketball coach at Webb School and the dean of students there. Ricky was my assistant coach when I coached basketball at the high school, and Ricky was a sponge. Ricky was just inquisitive. He could not get enough of asking me, hey Chuck, why did you do this? Why do we do that? Why when that student did that did you do this? He wanted to know the why behind all of it. He was just a sponge. He was so inquisitive. He had an unquenchable thirst for understanding why. The second protege that I had that comes to mind very quickly is Jody Goins. Jody's now the principal of the high school. He was my assistant principal. Much like Ricky, hungry, inquisitive, curious, great questions, prepared. Every time we would get together and have an intentional session, he was always prepared. He was ready. And he facilitated learning for me. Jody would share with me because, see, some of the beauty of this relationship is, mentors, I'm going to tell you, although the design is for the protege and our investment is to serve them, you're going to walk away I guarantee it, saying, wow, man, I got a lot out of that today. It never fails that as we invest in someone else, that often we will get back more than we feel like we've given. So there's a definite give and take to this. You'll grow as a coach and you'll grow as a leader in your investment in someone else. Before I conclude, I'd love to take any questions. But you know, when I think of mentoring and the journey you're on now, I can't help but think of the little thing at Starbucks that's part of their culture. If you've ever been in their drive-thru and you've gone up to the window and the person has said, that person in front of you paid for yours. And they call that pay it forward. That's part of the Starbucks culture. And then the question is, would you like to pay it forward for the person behind you? And that's a lot of what mentoring is. You're going to make an investment in someone that is going to be an extraordinary benefit to their professional life, with the idea that they also will make an investment in somebody else later on. And we'll just keep paying it forward and just keep paying it forward. That's how great organizations stay great. Thanks for letting me visit with you today. It's been a pleasure. Does anybody have a question? We had a strategy when I was the principal about questions. We'd have a faculty meeting. We had about 160 on our staff. And I would lead the meeting. And teachers. And so some of those questions could be fairly contentious. And so I always had one of my assistant principals. I changed it every month. And they were always over here to my right. And one of them was assigned to, if there was a question that I couldn't answer, fake an illness. And I would have to take them out. And so, Ken, if I point at you, I need you to fake an illness so I can go out with you. No, I'm just kidding. Good start. You had your hand up.
What was one of your biggest challenges when you were principal at the high school? I know you had plenty, probably. The biggest challenges in that role, and I think in many organizational leadership roles, well, there are a number, but one that's day-to-day is personnel matters. The difficulty in working through something that hasn't gone as it should. You said what? Were you just talking out loud, or were there students in the room? There were students in the room and you said that. Okay. You had one of those situations. Those are difficult, but even beyond that, just really keeping the high standards of academic achievement when everything else wants to nip at your time and your focus. And if you're not careful, a lot of things that aren't as important at the end of the day have become your most important thing. And